Hello, everyone. This is Howard Zolte, and I know that many of you are looking for ways to find some funding for your summer reading and summer literacy programs. And in this video, I'll talk about the Dollar General program, and this has got to be one of the easiest grant applications you will ever fill out. Unlike some of the larger, more complex funding applications, this application is really an online process with only about 6 screens that you need to fill out, and most of the sections are just very short answers. So this is something that you can complete very quickly. And I'll take you through step by step each page and show you where you obtain the data and actually how easy it really is. So the first thing that you need to do is simply go to the Dollar General website, and that's www.dollargeneral.com, and you'll see that up here. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page. So that's where the literacy programs are. So you see right here, the Dollar General Literacy Foundation. Let's click on that. And there we go. We're at the Dollar General Literacy Foundation, and we want to select the grant programs right up here at the top. Click on that. And here we go. You'll see all the grant programs that Dollar General has available. And the one that we're interested in is a summer reading grant program right here. So you see the links to the additional information. The first thing to look at is the maximum grant amount is $3,000. And here's when the awards will be announced. Also, the due date is fast approaching. So obviously February 27th at almost midnight, 11 p.m. Central Time, this thing has to be submitted by. But the good news is that this is a very short, very quick application. So that's very doable. So that's not really an issue. Also, let's take a look at some of the organizations that they funded last year. They funded about, it was 200, maybe 250 organizations last year. And that gives you an idea of what they really are interested in. So you see lots of libraries, you see lots of community nonprofits, 4-H groups, you see churches, you see learning centers, you see after-school programs, just a wide mix of organizations. And even though you don't see any schools on there, you see PTAs and other school-based nonprofit organizations. So there's a wide range of organizations that are eligible for funding through this grant program. Now, one of the other important aspects of this grant is you need to be located within 20 miles of a Dollar General store. So one of the things you want to do to save you a little bit of time, go to the Dollar General website, okay? And type in the zip code of your location, and you'll see a whole list of Dollar General stores. Find the closest one and get the address. Now, go onto the web, and then go to any website that maps the distance between two addresses. Put in the address of your location and put in the address of the Dollar General store, and it'll calculate the distance. So obviously in the example that I'm using, this library is 19.6 miles from the Dollar General store. And it's close, but it's still under the 20-mile limit, so it does qualify. And there'll actually be a question in the application, how far away are you from a Dollar General store? So knowing that number will actually save you a tiny bit of time. And the website that I used to calculate the distance was called mapdevelopers.com, and that was really easy to use. Now let's actually start filling out the application. The first part is super simple. It's contact information. So you'll see that there's no contacts listed here. And so we'll click on Unknown. And this part's really easy. What's the name of your organization? Is it also known by any other names? Address, phone number, just basic information. Remember I told you that you need to know the distance between your location and the nearest Dollar General store? Well, you put it right here. You already have that information from the previous step. This section over here, if you're a nonprofit organization, you've got a 501c3 letter, and just scan that in, upload it, and then it will take care of that question. Libraries and government organizations, which a library is usually part of a municipal organization, they don't have, or usually don't have, the 501c3 letters. So in that case, a library, that section doesn't apply. How long have you been in existence? Just fill in that time period right there. And fill in the principal service provided by your organization. Usually you can just cut and paste that right off of your organization's website. That's very simple. So now we're going to go back to the top and fill in the next section. And that's the overview page. And we see a lot of the overview information is just very basic information. Give the project a title, and obviously it's going to be something involving summer reading in the title section. The amount of funding requested, the maximum is $3,000, and most organizations request close to about $3,000, the maximum amount. The section on the number of individuals served by funding for that application. And you can decide what's best for your organization. Now, with summer reading programs, there are actually several components to that. The first is the traditional on-premises program, and that's very common. But also, as we get into programs that have an online component, that really is a way to increase the reach and range of the summer reading program. Families travel during the summertime, and portable electronic devices make it very easy to access reading content from anywhere. And there are some really great reading programs that are available for students. I can recommend many of them. One of my favorites is Raz Kids. Kids just love it, and it's something that you can use almost any place. The other great thing about the online reading programs, a lot of them have the automatic assessments built into it. So you can see the before results and the after results from your program, and that's very valuable in showing that your program has had a positive impact in the community. And the other thing is that these online reading programs also keep track of the reading progress. They measure how many books the students have read. The kids take quizzes, and you see the comprehension level. So actually, I would recommend that you actually consider expanding programs beyond the traditional on-site programs and look at providing online digital reading content and summer reading through technology as another option. And that greatly expands the number of students that you can serve through your summer reading program. Now, the next section, some people get a little concerned about the amount of work required to gather the information about the population. And actually, it's a lot easier than it looks. There are two ways to do that. If you already have access to the information, great, just put in the numbers there. If you don't, the easiest way to get the information is to contact your local school district. They have to record this information for most of their federal applications anyway. So the district office already has this information. If you can't get access from your local school district, the best place to get the information in that case would be the U.S. Department of Education. And they have demographic information for every school district and every school in the nation. So here's an example from the U.S. Department of Education. And you can get this information by going to the U.S. Department of Education website. And you can see that everything you need to perform the calculations for the grant application is actually right here. So that makes it very easy. Now let's go back to the application and go on to the next step. So after that section, questions about the population, English language learners, who's it serving, below grade level, new readers, readers with learning disabilities, and just click or hold down the control key to select multiple categories. Here we have some quick questions about your program, and if you've ever received a grant from Dollar General before. If you did, you can complete that section. Also, they want to know about the board members of your organization, so list their names in the box below. And now we're ready to go on to the next section. So now we move on to the project purpose and the outcomes. So the first question is really easy. What's the geographical area that you're serving? The next section is unemployment rate. And the easiest way to do this is just to look it up online. And the website that's probably easiest to use is zipatlas.com. And that lists for every city what the unemployment rate is. So that's easy enough to look up. Let's go back to the application. And next two questions, the high school graduation rate and the dropout rate in your area. Usually a quick phone call to the high school in your area, you can have that information very quickly. If they can't get back to you on that information in a reasonable time frame, just look it up on the Department of Education website for your state. They record that too, so that's very easy to determine. The next question is about the poverty level in the geographical area that you're serving. Now that's actually easy to find. There are so many websites out there that record that information. I find one of the easiest is actually areavibes.com, but there are many others. And you can just look up the poverty level right at the bottom of that screen. The other useful piece of information is how does that number compare to the national averages? In this case, it actually states that that city has a poverty rate that's 90.1% greater than the national average. And that's information that can be very useful for your application. Let's go back to the application. So the next box is a very short executive summary. And all you're really listing here are your project goals, your objectives, and your measurable outcomes. So this part is going to be really short. Don't need to write a lot, just the basic summary right there. So now we go on to the next section. Now the next thing you're going to do is just do a quick summary of your project and summarize your summer reading program and what are the components and how is it going to meet the purpose and meet your objectives. So just put that right there. Timeline is relatively straightforward. You pretty much know when it starts, you know when it ends, and you know the number of hours of weekly instruction for the students. So that's very simple. Now the section here under measurable results, this section will actually be very easy if you're using an online reading program where the system automatically levels the students, it tracks their reading progress, it does the assessments automatically. So as I mentioned before, one of my favorites is Raz Kids. The kids love that. The tools are great, the results and statistics are there, so that makes it very easy to use. If you have a traditional paper-based assessment system, these two sections will require a little more thought and more calculations. So that's why I actually feel that technology-based solutions make it a lot easier. And that also leads into the next section. List the technology that you'll be using for the instruction. And obviously, if you are using an online program, then that's very easy to fill out right over here. Computers and software, fill in that box over here. A lot of times, almost every library, almost every summer literacy program has access to computers. The online programs, the kids can access the content from home or when they're traveling or any place. So you also want to list how the students are accessing the system and the technologies in these two sections. These two are relatively straightforward if you're using an online system. Let's go on to the next section, and we're almost done. Now in this section, this is the budget section. Actually, it's a relatively easy one-page form. So you've got a $3,000 budget to work with, divided up into how much you want to spend on computers, incentives, instructional material, and software. Now, obviously, if you're focusing on an online system, most of your expense is going to be in instructional materials or software. If you've got a paper-based system, calculate that out. The nice thing about the online systems, especially, as I mentioned, Raz Kids, that has an online incentive system that the kids love. I mean, there's this virtual world that they're creating. They get points when they read books and take quizzes, and they build rocket ships and lots of really fun activities. And those online incentives are actually really amazing. So you don't actually need to allocate budget for the incentives. The kids actually have incentives built right into the program. So that's something I've seen work really, really well. Once you've calculated your numbers, put a few words around that. Describe how you're going to spend the funding and more details in the budget narrative section. Now for nonprofits, 501c3 organizations, you simply upload a copy of your most recent 990 form. And if you're a nonprofit, you know about filing that form. So just get a copy of that upload that right here and you're pretty much set. Now that you have completed the budget section, you're almost done with the application. If you've completed any grant applications in the last decade, you know that almost every grant application requires a Patriot Act section. And that's usually a very easy section to complete. It's just a bunch of checkboxes. So let's quickly take care of that section. And here we go. Just put in your organization name right here. And then just go through checkboxes. And what they're really asking, are you on any federal watch lists and related information like that? So, and that's just a bunch of checkboxes. And once you get done with it, just certify that all the information is correct. And then we can go on to the next section. And that section is just simply going on to board approval. And here we go. So what is the name of your board chair or executive officer? Put in the title and name right here. And then you have the agreement section that the checks, if you're awarded the grant, and any communication will be going to the address that you specified in the contact section at the beginning. And you're also agreeing that if you don't cash the check, if you award the grant within 90 days, then the check's null and void, and then you're ready to submit, and you have just completed the Dollar General grant application, and it was actually quite simple.